Okay. So sometimes on this channel we get a little bit too verbose about things. It happens, man, and we're famous, es muy infamoso, for exploring outside the box, right? So it all comes back to Adam, Jerome, Ezekiel Thielen, the pride of the University of Mankato State Community College. Stumbled over that. It happens. But Thielen is going to go down as one of the all-time great receivers for the Vikings. Mankato State Community College, like we said, UDFA, working his way up from the practice squad, special teams, up to the rooster, becoming a 1,000-yard Pro Bowl receiver. He was fantastic, man. He was absolutely the bee's knees. But last off season sort of is what it is, and the business is the business. And then he signed with the Carolina Panthers because he wants to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. But Thielen did put up some numbers with the worst team in the league, and he was Bryce Young's safety blanket last year when Bryce Young could actually see over the offensive line. There you go. But, of course, the only constant in life is change, and the Vikings moved on with Jordan Addison as Justin Jefferson's new Robin to his Batman, and sort of is what it is. But looking at the Vikings receiver room, so it is Jefferson, it is Addison, and I like Powell, I like Naylor, I like Sherfield, I like Christian Jackson, but there isn't anyone you can specifically say, hey, that's going to be the wide receiver 3 option. That's going to be the guy picking up the slack whenever JJ and Addison, for somehow, some way, are covered, right? So there's been a lot of talk about, hey, the Vikings should sign Hunter Renfrow, or the Vikings should trade for Robert Woods or Amari Cooper. But what about, I'm coming home to the place where I belong, Adam, Jerome, Ezekiel Thielen. Now, there would have to be a lot of moving parts here. Now, number one, I don't see a trade because the Vikings are bereft of draft picks right now, unless it's specifically aimed as a salary dump, which we'll get into. But with the Panthers, so, I mean, Thielen was fantastic last year. So just recapping the numbers, even though he complained about 107 targets with the Vikings in 2022, where he put up 70 catches for 716 and 6. I mean, the Vikings went 13-4, had some great success, but in 2023, like we said with the Panthers, like he got targets, like he got volume as the Panthers were struggling. But 103 catches for 1,014 yards and 4 touchdowns on 137 targets. His third 1,000-yard season, and he had a really nice career renaissance at age 33. So props to Thielen. But the Panthers this offseason, basically they've done everything to try and replace Adam Thielen, right? So they drafted Xavier Leggett at the back end of the first round, who I love. And they traded for Deontay Johnson, who does have a lot of skill crossover with Adam Thielen. And hopefully they'll get something out of Jonathan Mingo, who was really hyped up last year. Second-round pick out of Ole Miss, and even guys like Amir Smith-Marset, like ISM, former Viking and Hawkeye legend, like even he had some nice run last year, and maybe they could actually get something out of Terrace Marshall Jr., former. He was the other guy. Like he was the Ringo of the Lennon and McCartney of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. That's what happened. But so basically, like we said, I mean, the Panthers are doing everything they can to try and replace Adam Thielen, and it is what it is. But Thielen's contract, so here's where it gets interesting. Yeah, props to Thielen's agent, Blake Barrett's, for a phenomenal deal for his client. So last offseason, he signed a 3-year, $25 million deal with the Panthers, and it had some uniquely structured guarantees on top of the $14 million in guarantees. So the Panthers already paid him a $2 million roster bonus. So whether he's there or not, that's on their cap. That doesn't affect if another team picks him up. And also $4.5 million of his $5.5 million base salary is guaranteed. All right. Now the Panthers, even though the Panthers are a young team, they're very snug against the cap. They only have around $6 million in cap space. And if they did decide to cut him, they would save $1 million immediately. But given that it's post June 1st, a lot of the prorated signing bonus and roster bonus would come home to roost. So they'd have $3.25 million dead on their cap next year. But that's beside the point. Also, whatever he would get signed for would offset against their books. So say if he signs for the league minimum somewhere else, it would offset against the $4.5 million that he would be guaranteed this year. But that's getting into weeds of stuff. Basically, what it would come down to is like, hey, do the Panthers see enough depth on their roster where they're just like, hey, Thielen had a fantastic year last year, but we're focusing on the future with Xavier Leggett and Deontay Johnson and Mingo, etc. And hey, Thielen, like, we love you, man, but you're going to be 34 in August, and we love what you did for us last year and helping out Bryce Young, but we're looking towards the future. And would Thielen accept that? Even though he's getting his money either way, would he want to go somewhere where he's going to get some volume of targets? And that's where the specter of returning home could open up. Now, it needs to be very clear that obviously Justin Jefferson is one, and obviously Jordan Addison is two, but could it be a spot where he got his money from the Panthers and could return to the Vikings if the Panthers do indeed cut him loose? Or is it a spot where the Panthers could take a look at his contract and it's like, hey, Vikings, hey, if you warehouse the remnants of Thielen's contract, which the Vikings could easily do, given their $26 million in cap space, and then of course $1 billion in cap space next year, they could easily do that. It's like, hey, we will pull a Brock Osweiler and we will give you the better of draft compensation. Like, say that they would trade a 6th-round pick for a Vikings 7th-round pick if the Vikings take on Thielen's contract. It could be something like that. But it still is pretty far-fetched. And even though the Panthers' wide receiver room is crowded, Thielen's a competitive guy. I think that he's going to try and get after it. But like I said, since he gets paid either way, why not run it back? Why not run it back and just have the perfect ending to the Adam Thielen movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal? That's it. That's it, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Should the Vikings somehow, some way bring Thielen back? I don't know. I don't know, man. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But next time, Skol, production value.